In this video, we're going to take a look at screen sharing. Now in version 9.3, screen sharing is very different. One of the challenges that people had in sharing screens in prior versions of Adobe Connect was it was very hard to tell what you were sharing and what the individuals who were watching your screen share were actually seeing. That was a really big challenge because you were assuming that they could see what it was that you were intending. So let's take a look at screen sharing and the differences in what you'll see and how you can tell what they are seeing. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on screen share. Now to go over the screen sharing really quickly anyway is if I click on this big button that says screen share, it's going to automatically go to more like a desktop share. So that's one option. The other option, and this is a different button that does something different, is the down arrow lets you choose the items that you're going to share. So, and you look at those two things, they do have different functions. So what we're going to do now is we are going to use share my screen right now. So I'm going to click on share my screen, and it's going to ask me what I want to share, the desktop, an application, or an individual window. I also can decide if I want to do my first monitor or my second monitor because I happen to have two in this scenario. So I'm going to leave this on first monitor and I'm going to leave this on desktop. So you're going to notice very quickly when we see this what that means, and we'll do a couple of other demonstrations as well. You can also do the make share pod full screen for attendees. You can choose this, but what this does is it makes it full screen for everybody. This can be good if you're showing something that may need to have that full view, but this can also be confusing for your users because it takes over their entire screen. As I said, it's one of those choices that you'll have to make depending on what it is that you're demonstrating. So I'm going to go ahead and click share. I am not going to choose this option for now. So I'm going to click share, and what happens is this new little pod pops up. So I now have this new, window that opens up that as I move it around, you can see that it is movable. I'm going to move it down to the corner so I can show you a little bit more. You'll notice that what it is it's a preview of what others are able to see. So you notice how this part's kind of has like a little crosshatch with blue and white on it. That's this actual sharing window. So it's not going to double share. It's going to block that out. It's also showing you that you're showing the desktop, and so as I move that around, they're going to see that. So let's actually click on the Learn More and then watch that little preview and see how it shows you that's the preview. So that's going to be your assurance that the items that you are sharing are being seen by others. Now, this whole blue and white crosshatch thing looks kind of ugly, but the way I'm sharing this screen is going to be a little hard for you to see, but let's pretend that the window is a little bit smaller. So I'm going to drag this window down so you can see my desktop, and I'm going to drag this share window up. Now, the reason I wanted to do that is I wanted to show you that what people are seeing, if it's outside of the window of the share, they're not even going to see this. So that's one way to look at it. Or I'm going to move this to my second monitor, and it'll be gone completely. So I move it to my second monitor, and actually you can't see this, but that little screen share I was showing you no longer has that blue crosshatch. So as I move it back in, it starts to show up again. So experiment with this, try it out, but like I said, I think the best part about it is the fact that you can now tell what people are seeing. If your monitor and your screen are big enough, you can even move it so that this preview window is never on top of what you want to share. If you've got two monitors, you can always put it on the second monitor so you can see it, but it's not going to affect the view of others. But again, it gives you a chance to preview what they're seeing. So you can also pause and annotate this if you need to. You can also stop sharing. And at this point as well, you can manage video, and you can go back and look at attendees. And the other thing about this is that you can see what's going on in the chats. That was another huge challenge that we would have with screen sharing, is you lose view of the chats. So now you can go back and see what the chats are. You can see who your attendees are. You can manage your speaker, turn on your microphone on and off, turn your video on and off. and then see notifications. So what this really means is this is not only previewing, but it's allowing you to manage some of those other tools so that you don't have to leave the screen demonstration or leave the screen share if you don't want to. So this gives you a ton of flexibility in being able to do that. So let's actually use the pause and annotate. As I say, I have not used this yet, so I'm excited about it. So I'm going to pause and annotate. So what this does is it brings me back in, and it's showing me, basically, it looks like to me it's just taking a screen capture, but how cool is that? If I wanted to show this and say, okay, now look, you see there's the logo there, and you could also do another highlight and say, oh, there's a picture of a student here. It gives you a chance to, again, show something, stop, add additional annotations to it, and then maybe even move back. So you'll notice this resume button. So now I can click on resume and go back to the full screen share. Pretty cool. Very, very cool. When I'm done and I want to stop, I click on stop sharing and I return to my screen. So that should actually take care of I've gotten many questions on using this feature and some frustration on I can't see what's going on, I can't see the chat, I have to flip back and forth, I don't know what people are seeing. I feel like this feature is really bringing that around to something that's a lot more usable and gives you a chance to see it and manage content a little bit differently. So let's again take a look at the other sharing. So sharing documents. Not a lot of change in the sharing documents. Let's go ahead and browse. And let's find a document. I'm sure I've got something that I can share with you. Here we go. So we're going to pull up our document here. Click OK. It's going to take a moment. You can see that it's running, so it is loading it. Now it tells me I can't use SmartArt. That's fine. I'm going to proceed, and it's going to convert it. This is one of those things you should test ahead of time. Make sure that you don't have anything in your PowerPoint file that may not convert very well. I use SmartArt a lot, so therefore I have some difficulty sometimes in converting mine. So I usually have to turn my SmartArt into graphics so that I can upload them. That's okay. It's just something I have to remember. I usually keep a version that is SmartArt that can be edited, and then I keep a version that is converted to graphics. It's kind of a screen capture method. If you want more information on it, just send me an email and I can teach you how to do that too. Fortunately, it doesn't come up too often, but again, if I really get stuck, I can just use a screen share for my PowerPoint. Then I don't have to convert anything. So that's another thought. So it's just take a minute longer. It's taking a little longer than I thought it would, but you get the idea. So you'll notice otherwise, while we're waiting for that to convert, the rest of the interface really has not significantly changed. You're still able to get to your layouts. You're still able to get to all of the general layout items that you would normally see. So now I've got it's uploaded, and as you can see, it really is pretty much the same. If I want to show the sidebar so I can see what my different slides are, that's very helpful. If I want the participants to see the slide bar, I can turn that on and then they'll be able to see it as well. Let's actually change our role to participant. And you'll notice as a participant they can see it too. They can't click on it or move it forward, but they can see what's coming up. So that might be a good thing as you design your PowerPoint to think about, how do you prepare students for the next things that are coming up within that presentation. So let's go back to host. So again, that's pretty much the same thing. We're going to stop sharing. Then we're going to go back to screen share, and then we'll go to Whiteboard. There's some significant changes in Whiteboard. So the tools have moved from the top bar to the sidebar, and I think they're a heck of a lot easier to use. So I can choose my color. I've got more color choices. I can pick kind of a nice Franklin blue there. And once I do that, I can also choose some sizings. The sizing is a little bit easier to manage as well. I can also choose text. Since I've already chosen this, I can draw as I normally would and play around with this because it really is very nice. I can also do some free-form drawing. And they have significantly improved the resolution and the way this works. It looks very smooth. Now right now I'm just using my mouse. Let's clear this out. So I'm going to trash this. I will come back to that. Sorry about that. Let's move on to a clean one. There's also an undo. But you also have an arrange menu that would allow you to move items that you've placed on here, move them around. So I can move that, and then if I had all different things, I can move it up and down in the stack. So if you wanted to layer items or you were doing more complicated description of something, this is very similar to Word. I don't know if you've used the feature in Word that is the move to, what is it called? Move to back and move to top. It's the same idea. You're moving things. You can't access the individual layers, but you can certainly move items in front and behind. So you could reveal things. That might be something else you can do. But play around with that because it's a lot different. And then, of course, the undo, which I think is wonderful because then if you accidentally make a mistake, you can undo it. But again, big difference in how we are going to experience these items. So I'm actually going to select all of that and just delete it. So I'm selecting it, clicking delete, and it's gone. So now if I go to write something, 4 plus 4 equals 8. Now, I'm not great with drawing with a mouse, but you can see it looks a lot better. If I change the size of this, let's make it a little bit smaller. I'll write my name. But certainly a much nicer resolution and much easier to use, and the zoom is fabulous. So if you were doing a long form and you wanted to zoom in on something and then reveal more, you could use that as well. I think you get a really nice view of how that works. So I'm going to click the stop sharing. So that was an overview of the changes in 9.3. Things that you can look at from, again, let's review the screen sharing, as well as document sharing and the changes to the whiteboard. Again, I believe them to be significant changes. However, the upside is I think it improves the way you use the tools. It will improve your experience. But again, you'll need to go back and practice. But I think those are great changes. If you have any questions, let me know.